99 WDET-FM. I'm Tia Graham. And for 30 years now, InsideOut Literary Arts has helped countless Detroit students find a love and passion for creative writing. Founded by Dr. Terry Blackhawk, a Detroit public schools teacher, InsideOut Literary Arts aims to inspire young people through written word and spoken word. This year, the organization made it a point to fill spaces throughout the city with poetry. 30 billboards were purchased and replaced with their students' work. And as we drive through the Avenue of Fashion, you'll see a new mural from Detroit artist Oshun Williams, featuring the works of a local young poet. And later this week, InsideOut Literary Arts will continue the celebrations with a 30th birthday party at the Norwood in Detroit. Suma Karaman Rosen is Executive Director of InsideOut Literary Arts, and Hajjar Baban is an InsideOut alum and has a master's in fine arts and poetry from the University of Virginia. She is also an award-winning poet and currently a poetry reader for Muzzle Magazine. Suma, Hajjar, welcome to the Metro.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. So just jumping in, Suma, we had you on the Metro back in March, which was a while ago.
It was like 10 years ago.
It feels like it. And you all were working on, at that time, talking about the river, If the River Could Talk, that particular program at that moment.
Yeah.
And you were talking about 30 years and getting ready to celebrate at the end of that month and starting things up. So what has it been like working on and celebrating this 30th year of InsideOut Literary Arts?
I got to start with a shout out to my amazing team. They've been working hard this year. We thought about how we're going to celebrate 30 years, which is a huge milestone for any nonprofit. For InsideOut, we really wanted to lift up 3 decades of youth voice. And we thought, let's give back to the community and let's think of joyous ways that we can bring youth voice and poetry into the community. So you mentioned the billboards in April, which is National Poetry Month. We had 30 billboards up with student poetry all over the place. We had a really fun billboard bus tour where we invited some friends and the 4 students and their families and their teaching artists to come with us. And we stopped in front of 4 of the billboards and we did like a little, jump out of the bus and do a reading kind of celebration. That just felt amazing. Like, okay, we're on the right track. You mentioned the mural. So that's like our gift back to the city of Detroit and all the people in our community who have helped us get to this milestone. So there was a celebration for that mural in May and it's up for everyone to enjoy. It's super amazing. Big thanks to Mr. Williams for donating that wall and for City Walls for working with us on that project. You mentioned If the River Could Sing, which is an event that we've had for the last 3 years. This year we kind of reconceptioned it. Was that even a word? I'm here representing words and I don't have a word.
You're creating.
Yes, creating words. Creative, yay, creative vibe. Anyway, we did an event this year called Radiant Detroit, and that was at Beacon Park. And we brought back some of our partners, and we lifted up we had some youth performers and some teen performers, and the amazing Mahogany Jones performed. But also, it was a whole beautiful day of families creating and being in community together and just feeling good about being in the heart of Detroit and with each other in community.
And Suma, there is, of course, a party that's happening this Saturday, October 25th. Talk a little bit about that event and what it means, especially as executive director, to have the founder in attendance and just have all these people who've had 30 years of InsideOut in their lives.
Yeah. Well, yes, you mentioned Dr. Terry Blackhawk will be in the building, and she's doing a toast. She's going to be joining us with people who have been supporting the organization for 30 years, which is phenomenal. We have former board members who are going to be there, people who have been, holding us along the way and are there to celebrate with us. One of our special guests is Michael R. Jackson, who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, and he will be there, helping us celebrate the moment and also commemorating our senior writer, Peter Marcus, who's been with the organization all 30 years.
Wow.
We're gonna honor him as well.
Wow. And InsideOut student poet, Charisma Holly's poem, If I Wake Up in Detroit 25 years in the future, that is what's posted on that mural. We have Charisma's work, and I've met Charisma in person.
Yeah. She'll be
her
there.
Her name fits her more than I think any person would ever know.
Real.
Her charisma is crazy. So if you could talk about that mural and talk about Charisma and some of the students that you've been able to work with, and we'll get to Hajjar up next.
Okay. Well, I am a fan of all of our kids, Charisma will be part, and so will Hajjar, and I'll let Hajjar talk in a second here, but they're both going to be part of an alumni showcase that we're going to do as part of our celebration on Saturday. I have to say, tickets are still available. It is a fundraiser. We are trying to raise money to continue to do our high-quality programming and set us up for a bright future. It's been a rough year, but I want to make sure that we're holding up the joy that we bring and the power of the written and spoken word. And Charisma really embodies that. She was actually with me at Radiant Detroit. We did a spot together, and I was like, you want to talk to a kid about this? Talk to Charisma. She's just a natural spokesperson. She talks about the way that the programming has really helped her find her own authentic voice and then share it with the community and the power that she's gotten from that self-expression and self-confidence. So I can't wait to see her. I mean, it's going to be a reunion for a lot of our kids.
Yeah, Charisma is one of those people that truly, no matter what your age is, if you meet her and run into her, you want to embrace her. You want to come into her circle and her fold. I love that. And Hajjar, as a former InsideOut alum yourself, a student poet, what are some of your favorite parts about being involved with the organization?
I'm like reflecting a lot, not just only because of the event on Saturday, but in like recent like developments in my writing career, just a lot of gratitude for how I would say like interdisciplinary the vibes were with InsideOut. You know, it being in Detroit, like learning about different types of art. I remember having events at the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Arts, but also remember going to the Motown Museum and like blending different types of art and expression with writing. So I feel like I really think about that fondly. So it's not just one specific point, but it's like all of the different ways we were allowed to think and begin to learn how to express ourselves.
And thinking about expressing yourself, you know, there's not just one moment you're saying that really, you know, hit it off for you, but when did you know that poetry was your creative outlet? A lot of people find it in music. They might find it in journalism. What was your creative outlet?
That's one of the things that I really love about InsideOut, and especially all of like the mentors and the writers that I work with, is I think it wasn't just one moment. I was like writing in, I've talked about this a couple of times, but like in a dream journal before I started like writing poems. And so it was just like an everyday practice. And when I like discovered InsideOut is when I really started to like read a lot and like also write in these free writes with Citywide Poets, like these like weekly practices of like responding to prompts and stuff like that. But I think one of like the really lovely things is these mentors and teachers give you the space to like keep learning and like finding your voice. And so it wasn't something that happened overnight, and it's not something I can really attribute to like one specific moment. All I know is like I felt really held and taken care of, and never like I was allowed to grow, I felt like. And I felt like these were teachers that really like allowed me to grow with grace and like, yeah, as I was learning, really.
There were no conditions to your growth. There were no conditions to your growth. I love hearing that, especially about just finding your way within a creative space when oftentimes we're not allowed to explore as much as we would like to. So, you know, what are some important themes that come up in your work often that you've noticed so far?
Oh, wow, that's a lot. I feel like when I was, you know, a student with InsideOut, I would say I was like exploring things like the idea of home and the idea of time, like a really, really huge ideas. But now I like think about it. I'm like reflecting on it as I'm like working through like poems that I've already written. And I'm like, oh, like, and now I'm able to like examine those things at a very like specific and like molecular level. So it's interesting, like again about the growth and the no conditions. I was allowed to think about these things as a huge concept, and now I'm like reflecting on how I'm like interrogating the words themselves or like how I move through them.
We can keep going with that. We could definitely keep going, but we're talking about InsideOut Literary Arts, celebrating 30 years of work in Detroit. Our guests are Suma Karaman Rosen, the Executive Director of the organization, and Hajjar Baban, InsideOut alum and award-winning poet. Now, Suma, bringing you back into the conversation, just thinking about poetry in general, spoken word, it is so important today. We're seeing a lot in our world that we can't really explain away from other than comprehension and comprehending skills. So how does poetry flex the muscles of critical thinking and comprehension?
Oh, that's such a good question, Tia. Oh my God, now how much time do we have? Listen, I've heard people say over and over again that the youth are the future and they're the hope for the future. And I want to counter that by saying they are the right now. If we don't listen to kids right now, the whole world shifts in a way that I don't like as much. I like to be in a world where all voices matter, including our young people. They have a unique and important perspective, and they do give me hope, but it's not because I'm going to hand over a burden of like solve this. It's because we're going to do this together. And I think poetry is a vehicle that allows people to find their unique voices. And Hajjar's nodding. And also, I have to say this because I'm sitting in the room with this person, Hajjar Baban, who's an amazing poet. And when I first came in to InsideOut Literary Arts, everyone was talking about her, and I thought she was this famous, adult, published poet. And I was like, wait, you're talking about a kid who just graduated from high school. It was like fangirl big time. And another shout out, I have to say, most people are familiar with Amanda Gorman, who was the first National Youth Poet Laureate. Hajjar was the runner up. I mean, like, she's famous to me, and to me, and in our circle, right? Tia's mouth is open.
To me.
So like, we like live in service of the kids that we serve, and it feels so amazing because it just never gets old. Every kid that comes through our program is special and unique and amazing, and whether they become an amazing, published poet or not, the skills that they learn, how they bring their voices into the world, that's a world I want to live in.
Suma, you brought that up. You just kind of just threw it in there.
And just but
Hajjar, please talk about being a runner-up. I mean, that's actually it's beyond huge because a lot of us know exactly who Amanda is. So just can you go into just being a well-known poet at such a young age?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I don't really see it as so separate from like the work that I was doing with InsideOut. Anyway, like I feel like I was provided a space to like do these, readings with. It's crazy to think now they're kind of my peers, but when I was younger, these were like poets that I was looking up to, and they would like be coming through the program as like visiting like writers for like a show or something like that. And so I think back on like those moments a lot, like writers like Safia El-Hilo, and like, yeah, now I'm like, oh, we're kind of in the same, but back then I was like this really young poet, and I was like looking up to these people through InsideOut, like having that resource of meeting different poets and stuff. So I really kind of put it in my mind as a, just another thing I was able to do through the programming with InsideOut, like even being aware of the like local, like the Detroit Youth Laureate program, yes. And then to like move on to, the bigger kind of stage.
You mentioned Nandi.
Yes,
Nandi Comer, Michigan Poet Laureate.
Yeah. So I'm reading with Nandi will be there this Saturday, and even that is just so crazy. I'm like, okay, so I'll plug myself. I've been being a little shy about it, but my first book of poems will be coming out next year, and I've been trying to find a way to kind of grapple with that and like really see, like how you said, like this is a big thing that happened, and like trying to take in kind of the gravity of that. And one of the ways I started was like by writing my acknowledgments, like not even looking at the book, but just like thinking about all of the people who kind of got me here. And Nandi, like Elise, like all of these writers who, like really just saw me as a person. Like you're saying, like about children being the now is like really, really beautiful and profound to me, because that's how I felt. Like I felt like I was learning how to be in conversation with people and like learning each other's stories or just how to be. And I think that is like so much of like the kind of living that I want before I get to the page. So yeah, I don't know how to answer your question other than gratitude. It kind of gets me to feeling the reality a little.
And I do want to ask, though, because poetry can be hard for a lot of people to understand. And, how much of the lack of constraints around poetry allowed you to enter it in a way that you understood it and you can find your own place in it versus it being above your head?
That's such a great question, and I think someone else might have a better answer. But for me, I'm like the lack of constraints. Actually, I went to the constraints pretty heavily. So I'm like I wouldn't consider myself a formal person necessarily, but I think that that's one of the things that like I went to, especially when I was learning them for the first time, like all of these different forms in poetry, that I could have those couple of restraints so that I could then
branch out.
Yeah, do all of that.
And Suma, similarly with you, just working with kids of all ages and all backgrounds, how are you all making it more accessible and making sure that people are reaching it wherever they are?
That is actually, the answer to that is that's why it's poetry.
Yeah.
We want to teach creativity. We want young people to find their own authentic voices. As I mentioned, we want them to feel the power of self-expression. And poetry is this really beautiful art form that is there's a pretty low barrier to entry, and it works in third grade, it works in high school, it works beyond. There are ways to unlock the imagination at any age through this beautiful form of artistic creation, and you can keep getting better for sure, but you also you need to not worry about being wrong. You need to just explore and experience, imagination is I think an essential skill, and I'm not sure how many people are learning it for real. It's really important.
And that, we could definitely talk more and more about the lack of expression of imagination in general that we have in our world right now. But before I do let you go, as you all end your 30-year celebration, Suma, Little Village's Cadillac Arts Center in Detroit's East Village neighborhood. I'm excited to see that you all are in a space and expanding. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. I know you said it's happening next year. Yeah. You don't have much about it, but talk about the excitement of the move, especially in 30 years.
We're very excited. It's perfect timing because it's here's this landmark year for us. We're at this milestone, and we're very happy to announce that we're moving into a space where we think we can grow and be for a long time. The Library Collective has been very warm and welcoming to us to be part of this new building that is part of, across block away from the Shepherd and down from the Lantern, and there's a lot of really beautiful arts and culture activities happening already, and we're excited to be in a neighborhood that's flourishing with that kind of vibe. So I'm looking forward to that. As I said that when we were preparing, that 2026 is 10 years away. Let's get through Saturday. I want people to come and enjoy our 30th anniversary celebration with us, and then after that, maybe not Sunday, but next week.
So for folks who are interested, what's the time, what's the date, and what should people know about the event?
Yeah, thank you. It's this Saturday, October 25th. It's at the Norwood. All the information is on our website, InsideOutDetroit.org. Go to our events page, and it's right there. The event is from 5 to 9. We're going to have a short program around 7 in the middle of it, but mostly it's going to be, good food, good drink. Lots of interactive activities. We're going to have a little program, as I mentioned. We will be premiering our new 30th anniversary video. I already mentioned Michael R. Jackson. Names that from our alumni list will be there. That set is going to happen. We're going to have DJ Boog. Can I read a quick little, our sponsors real quick? Shout out to our sponsors. Mercedes-Benz Financial Services, Children's Foundation, Decode Detroit, Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network, Farbman Group, Henry Ford Health, Walbridge Display Group, Plant Moran, Scoopin' and Lucas, and Moots Pizzeria. And I need to also say that Freya's they're part of our donations as well.
And it's such a local, just family coming together, all those local names with all these people.
Yeah.
It's going to be a celebration once again of the love of creative expression, poetry, and the city of Detroit.
Indeed.
Suma Karaman Rosen is the Executive Director of InsideOut Literary Arts. As well, we have with us, because I have to make sure I get this all correct. I want to make sure that I get all your information correct. Hajjar Baban, InsideOut Alum, Masters in Fine Arts and Poetry from University of Michigan, and an award-winning poet and soon-to-be published poet next year. Thank you both for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you, Tia.
This is the Metro. Ever want to go back and listen to a conversation you heard on the show, just like right now? Or share it with a friend? Every conversation we have on the Metro is available on the Metro's podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow, subscribe, and leave us a rating or review. Coming up, as funding to arts and culture continues to diminish across the country, Detroit is doing the opposite. We'll learn more about a new theater that calls the Live 6 neighborhood home. You all stay right there. We'll be right back. This is the Metro.